Good afternoon, everybody. Joe Cioffi here, Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, it's all about Arctic air and maybe a late week snow risk. We'll wrap up the storm system from Monday night into Tuesday, and we'll get into the next one. That's coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So as we look at what's going on in the east, as we have a lot of clouds and moisture and weak low pressure that's offshore, that's starting to move along to the northeast and beginning to intensify a bit. That's going to bring cold air down again as the day goes on. So we're going to see temperatures drop off. Rain, freezing rain, snow, all of that should be coming to an end from west to east, and then we're going to be drying out as this system translates offshore. But there's still other things upstream that we're going to have to look at in the coming days. And this is the radar as of 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see the radar echoes, the back edge making progress. There's just inland, I mean, just barely inland. We had freezing rain for a good part of the morning into the afternoon. Further north of Route 84, it's been mostly snow, and also as you get up into central and northern New England. But again, all of that is going to be moving out. We've got some rain showers along the Carolina coast, as on the southern end of this, the cold front is pushing eastward, and now the Arctic air that's been back through Tennessee and Kentucky and extending back up into the plains has now pushed its way to the southeast, and we're seeing some very cold temperatures moving into the southeastern quarter of the United States. We're getting some of that cold, but the core of the cold air really went more to the west of the Appalachians rather than to the east. But nonetheless, we've got some cold temperatures coming up tonight as we drop down into the teens, and temperatures tomorrow having a tough time in the 20s. The weather prediction, folks. Now, this is a problematic map at this point because it kind of mixes two weather systems here. The one for Friday will start to come into the picture, and we have the departing one. So it really isn't very useful at the moment. However, we can look at the long range, which is for Friday into Saturday, and WPC still holding on to the idea of a 10 to 30% chance for at least a few inches. You got that little dot in parts of Monmouth and Ocean County in New Jersey where it's 30 to 50. It's also 30 to 50 and 50 to 70 in the mountains of West Virginia. So this is going to be the next weather system that's in play. When we look at the precipitation in liquid form, not a whole lot here. They're talking maybe a tenth of an inch, a tenth to a quarter is offshore. This is for the period from Friday night into Saturday. So we look back to Thursday night into Friday. Thursday night into Friday night. We have a tenth to a quarter of an inch, and a quarter to a half is just about touching the coastline. So this kind of looks to me like as if we could wind up with another situation where we see a few inches of snow. However, we may have to start taking into account the snow ratios for Friday because we are going to have very cold air getting involved with this at some point, and trying to time that out is always a bit difficult. But here's our storm system moving away. You can see much of the weather across the United States is quiet. It's also quite cold with that high down in Texas. As we said, the core of the cold air had gone west of the Appalachians. We're getting some of that for tomorrow and Thursday. We've got energy moving into the Pacific Northwest tonight and Wednesday. You can see the snow up in the northern and central Rockies. And another low is going to come out Thursday night. You sort of see it here, just the beginnings of it. In Mississippi down to the Gulf Coast. There's some light snows breaking out across Tennessee again, in Kentucky, Indiana, southern Illinois, Ohio, into western Pennsylvania. That low is going to quickly develop off the North Carolina coast early Friday morning. And it's forecast to take a track out to the east. The models today, I'll be back up a minute. The models last night were very weak with this and showed very little additional snow. But during today, some of the models have gotten a little bit more aggressive, and even the GFS has picked up on the idea that there's going to be some snow here for Friday into Friday night. Uh, Again, at this early stage, because the low is so far out on this model, it's tucked in a bit more on others. But if it winds up being further out, then we're probably talking about a few inches perhaps. If it's tucked in a bit more, it takes a little bit longer to go out. It could wind up being a bit more than that. Either way, we have very cold air. The last shot of Arctic air coming down, and this is going to be for Friday night and for Saturday into Sunday. And Saturday morning, I think many areas are going to be in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England in the low teens to single digits. And highs on Saturday might not be much out of the upper teens and low 20s. We're also going to have a cold north-northwest wind coming down from eastern Canada, riding all the way down the coast. So that usually means that the low-level cold air is going to be important and somewhat impressive. Once the core goes out, and it does Sunday morning, we're going to start to see temperatures moderate a bit, and I think by Monday we could be back to the mid and upper 30s. Next week, to me, looks like a week of relaxation from the flow of Arctic air masses as the jet stream pulls back up into Canada, at least for a while. And temperatures are going to be running probably near or above normal much of the time, and it doesn't look like we have chances for snow going forward next week because of the lack of cold air, but you never know. Strange things have been known to happen from time to time. And when they do, you can rest assured that we will talk about them on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And the podcast tonight at its usual time, 7:35 p.m. Eastern.